Right, so good afternoon to everyone and welcome to another episode of Moyo Math. This afternoon we'll be looking at the Csec January 2025 Math Paper 1. So that's a multiple choice paper, so we'll be looking at that paper this afternoon. So with that said, let's get into it. So remember, the objective is to ensure that we are fully prepared for the Csec exam in the next month, and of course rigorous preparation will continue until the exam, of course, and beyond. Of course, the YouTube channel will continue producing lots and lots of material that can help students to improve in their mathematics. But of course, for the students who are writing exams this year, more and more material will be posted to the channel, which will certainly help you to prepare for the exam. So don't forget to spread the word, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're looking at the Csec Math January 2025 multiple choice paper, paper 1. And question 1, what percentage of 40 is 8? So question 1, so what percentage, let's call that percentage X percent of 40, of means to multiply. What percentage of 40 is equal to 8? Of course, X percent is the same as X all over 100, can convert a percentage into a fraction. Times 40 is equal to 8. And zeros will cancel. 2 into 4 is 2, 2 into 10 is 5. So we can write this as 2x over 5 is equal to 8. I am going to solve this equation by simply cross multiplying. I have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, so I can cross multiply. So I'm going to get 2x is equal to 40, and I divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 20, so it's 20%, whose answer is B. Okay, let's look at question 2. So question 2 states the value of the digit 2 in the number. So we have the number 748.621. So the value of the number 2 in that, the value of the digit 2 in that number will be, after the point, this will be tenths, this will be hundredths. So this will be 2 all over 100, which can also write as 2 over 10 to the power of 2, whose answer here will be A. So question 2A. Let's move on to question 3. So question 3, we have the square root of 17 squared subtract 15 squared. Of course, we know that 17 squared, that's the same as 17 multiplied by 17. So we know 17 by 17 will give us 289. This is the square root of 289. Subtract 15 squared, which is 15 by 15, will give us 225. And of course, 225 from 289 will give us 64. And the square root of 64 will be equal to 8. So the answer here will be C. So let's move on to question 4. So question 4, in a school, the ratio of the number of pupils to the number of teachers is 20 to 1. If the number of pupils is 840, how many teachers are there? So we have that ratio 20 to 1. This will be the number of pupils to the number of teachers. And if we know that the number of pupils corresponds to 840, then what we can do is to create a proportional relationship, which will be 20 proportional parts is equal to 840. The 20 proportional parts represents pupils, and 1 proportional part which represents your teachers will be equal to 840 divided by 20, which will give us 42. His answer here, it is B. So let's look at question 5. So we have question 5. So question 5. So a bag of apples can be shared equally among either 6, 10 or 15 children. The minimum number of apples that is likely to be in the bag is, so we want to find the minimum. This is where we find the LCM. So we have 6, we have 10, we have 15. So we can use this approach to find the LCM, and we can start by dividing the lowest prime number 2, because 2 can divide into 6 and 10 exactly. So 2 into 6 is 3, 2 into 10 is 5, 2 cannot divide into 15 exactly, so I bring up my 15. And I'm going to move to the next prime because 2 cannot be divided anymore, so I'm moving to the next prime, which is 3. 3 into 3, 1. 3 cannot divide into 5 exactly, so I bring down my 5. And 3 into 15, 3 into 15 will give us 5. So 3 cannot be divided anymore, so I move to my next prime, which is 5. 5 divided into 1 cannot exactly, so I bring down my 1. 5 into 5 is 1. 5 into 5 is 1, and therefore my LCM, which will be the minimum number of apples, will be 2 by 3 by 5, 6 by 5, which is 30, whose answer is E. Let's move on to question 6. So question 6, 99 by 101 is the same value as, so 99 times 101, this is the same as, we can write this as 99, and in brackets 101 can be expressed as 100 plus 1, and therefore we can apply the distributive law here. I'm going to multiply 99 by 100 plus I'm going to multiply 99 by 1. So 99 by 101 is the same as D. Question 6D. Let's look at question 7. Question 7. Which of the following sets is defined by, so we have X is, or X belongs to the set of Z, and Z represents your integers. Integers, you know, are both positive and negative numbers. So we have here negative 2 is less than or equal to X, which is less than or equal to 4. So negative 2 less than or equal to X, less than or equal to 4. We can separate this and write it as negative 2 is less than X, and X, negative 2 is less than or equal to X, and X is less than or equal to 4. But with inequalities, it's important that the unknown is on the left of the inequality symbol. So X is on the left. Let's make sure X is on the left, so I'm going to switch. And if I switch, then the inequality symbol will change from less than or equal to greater than or equal to. So we're looking at numbers that are less than or equal to negative 2, and of course, that are greater than or equal to, negative 2, and are less than or equal to 4. So numbers that are greater than or equal to negative 2 will be negative 2, negative 1, 0. And of course, less than or equal to 4, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4. And whose answer there will be D. Let's move on to question 8. Question 8. Item 8 refers to the following Venn diagram, which shows two intersecting sets P and Q. In the Venn diagram, the number of elements in P is equal to 5, the number of elements in Q is equal to 9, and the number of elements in P intersect Q is equal to 4. The number of elements in the shaded region of the Venn diagram is. So this shaded region, looking at this entire region here, that's a shaded region, and that represents the number of elements in P union Q. So that entire region of the shaded represents a union, and for us to determine the number of elements, there's a formula we can use to represent the number of elements for the union of two sets, and that will be the number of elements in P plus the number of elements in Q subtract the number of elements in P intersect Q. We have the number of elements in P, which is 5, plus the number of elements in Q, which is 9, subtract the number of elements in P intersect Q, which is 4. So we know 5 plus 9 will give us 14, and 14 subtract 4 will give us 10. So question 8, the answer is B. Let's move on to question 9. In which of the following pairs of sets is one set not a subset of the other? Not a subset. So you know a subset is when when the elements of one set, all the elements of one set belong to another. So if we look at A, multiples of 12, multiples of 12, you can think of it 12 times 10. So this is 12 by 1 is 12, 12 by 2 is 24, 12 by 3 is 36 and onwards. And we have factors of 3. So factors of 3, clearly factors of 3 will be 1 and 3. So if we look here, clearly the factors of 3 is not a subset of the multiples of 12, because this would imply that all the factors of 3 must be in the multiples of 12, and this is not happening. Good? So clearly, when we look at this question from my solution, clearly it shows that A will answer the question. But I'm sure if we try B, C, and D, we will prove that A is correct. So let's look at that. Let's look at B. Factors of 6. So this is A. B, factors of 6 will be 1, 2, 3, 6. Those are factors of 6. Let me write it. Factors of 6. That will be 1, 2, 3, 6. We have factors of 12, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. So clearly, factors of 6 is a subset of factors of 12, because all the elements of the factors of 6 are in the factors of 12. So you know the factors of 6 is a subset of the factors of 12. Yeah? So this here will clearly not be applicable to the question asked. Let's look at C. Right? We have here, so this is not applicable, whole numbers, x being whole numbers. So in this case, this is E, and we change this here. This is E, and this is F. So I can say E is a subset of F. Let's look at C, X, which will be whole numbers. And your whole numbers will clearly be, we have starting whole numbers are numbers that starts from 0. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, dot, dot, dot. And we have here rational numbers. So rational numbers are also whole numbers. Yeah, so rational numbers will be fractions whose denominator is not 0. So you have 0 again, you can have a half, you have 1, you have 1.5, you have 2, you have 2.5, and so on. Yeah? So if you look, whole numbers clearly will be a subset of your rational numbers. So whole numbers will be a subset of your rational numbers. So x whole is a subset of your rational. So this clearly will not apply to the question asked. And D, we have here G, which are multiples of 5. So multiples of 5 will be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So take up your 5 times tables. And multiples of 10. So this is each multiples of 10. So you have your 10 times tables, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. So if we look at the multiples of 5 and multiples of 10, we have elements common to both. Yeah? So we have elements common to both. So this clearly will not apply to the question asked, which set is not a subset of the other. So this will not apply. So the only solution of or only answer of the 4 options there will be A. So let's look at question 10. So question 10. All students in a class play Scrabble. That should be or checkers or both. If 36% of the students play Scrabble only and 48% of the students play checkers only, what percentage of the students play both games? So this is question 10. So looking at, I'm going to set up a Venn diagram justice. So we will have our 2 subsets, one representing Scrabble, and both will overlap because they use the word what percentage of students play both games. So this will imply that our 2 subsets will overlap, one being Scrabble and the other being checkers. Now, if 36% of the students play Scrabble only, so Scrabble only in this region here, that's 36%. And if 48% of the students play checkers only, which is this region here, and they want us to determine what percentage of students play both, we don't know, but let's call it X. Then how are we going to determine X? 100% will represent all the students who in class, right, who play Scrabble or checkers, all students in the class. And what we want to do is determine X. So to determine X, this is what we do. We're going to create an equation. You have students in the class who play Scrabble only, plus students in the class who play both, plus students in the class who play chess only, and this here is your expression for the total number of students in the class, which we know represents 100%. And therefore we can create an equation to find X. So this here will be your 36 plus 48 to give us 84, plus X is equal to 100. X is equal to 100, subtract 84, and 84 from 100 will give us 16, so which is B. So the answer for question 10 is B. So let's move on to question 11. Question 11 refers to the following Venn diagram, which shows 2 intersecting sets. The number of students in each set is indicated. So we have the number of students in each set indicated. In the Venn diagram, U represents students who play all games, who play games. A students who play hockey, B students who play volleyball. How many students play either hockey or volleyball, but not both? So either hockey or volleyball, but not both, will be those students who play hockey only, which is 5, plus those students who play volleyball only, which is 4. So what we have here is how many students play either hockey or volleyball, but not both. So we can't include 2 because it states but not both. So those who play hockey only and those who play volleyball only. So that answer there will be 5 plus 4, which is 9, whose answer for question 11 is C. So question 11C. Let's move on to question 12. So question 12. The set of positive integers that are divisible by 7 is an example of. So positive integers. So we're looking at positive integers. We're going to have here, we will have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. See that these are all positive integers. And if each of those integers are divisible by 7, if we divide each one by 7, then it will make that set. This here is an infinite set. And if each of these is divisible by 7, it remains an infinite set. So your answer here will be infinite set, whose answer for question 12 is B. So question 12B. Let's look at question 13. So items 13 and 14 refer to the following diagram, which shows part of a shopping bill. So the correct values of P, Q, and T are. So for us to find P, the item will be 4 grams of flour. Total cost is $12.40. Then the unit price of P will be to divide 1240 by 4. And 1240 divided by 4 will give us $3.10. So we have found P. So what we can do, let's find, it may be easier for us to find T first. Let's find T, which will be found by adding 1240 to 720, and we can subtract that from the subtotal, which is 440, which will help us determine what is T. So T will be $4.40 subtract, this will be $12.40 plus $7.20. So $12.40 plus $7.20 will give us $19.60. And when I subtract that from $40.40, I'm going to get $20.80. So no T is equal to $20.80. So far we see where P is 310, T is $20.80. And of course to find Q, what you know T, you can find Q by simply dividing $20.80 by 8. When we divide $20.80 by 8, that will give us $2.60. Whose answer, if we look, all correspond to the solution working. So the answer here will be D. So we're looking at question 13D. Let's move on to question 14. So 14, of course, 13 and 14, same question. According to the bill, the amount paid for VAT is. So let's determine the amount paid for VAT. So this is question 14. So the amount paid for VAT. So VAT is 8%. So the subtotal is $40.40. So it means that the subtotal will be equal to 100%. So you can say 100% is equal to $40.40. 1% will be $40.40 divided by 100, and therefore VAT, which represents 8%, will be $40.40 divided by 100 times 8. So let's see what we're going to get. $40.40 divided by 100 times 8. So we're going to get here $3.23 will be the representation for your VAT, which is B. Okay, let's move on to question 15. So 15. It says here, at a bank, EC $2.60 is equivalent to US $1. For every $1 exchange, EC 10 cents is deducted as an exchange tax. How many EC dollars will Leon receive if he exchanges US $1,000? So at a bank, we know that EC $2.60 is equivalent to $1. So therefore, let us determine how much EC 1,000 US is equal to. So we know our exchange rate, and what we have to convert to must always be on the right of the relationship. So I'm going to state this as US $1 is equal to EC $2.60. So therefore, US $1,000 will be to multiply $2.60 by 1,000, and when I multiply that by 1,000, that will give me 2,600 EC dollars. So US 1,000 is 2,600 EC dollars, but how much money do you receive? Because it says for every $1 exchanged, EC 10 cents is deducted. So you have 1,000 US. Alright, so that means you have 1,000 US $1, and they have $1, and therefore, if EC 10 cents is deducted for every $1, then how much will be deducted? So we know if we have, so therefore, so amount deducted will be to multiply 1,000, because you have $1,001 times 10 cents. Good? And 1,000 by 10 cents, that will give us $100. So we want to deduct that from our 2,600, so you know how much money Leon received. So Leon received, that will be 2,600, subtract 100, so it's $2,500. Whose answer for question 15 is C. Let's look at question 16. So 16, a calculator which is marked at $120 is sold for cash at 30% discount. How much change will Suzanne receive if she pays for the calculator with a $100 bill? So the mark price is $120 and you got a discount of 30%. It means that your discount will be equal to 120 times 30%. That's 120 times 30 over 100. And that would be equal to $36 with the discount. Yeah? And if she pays with, so of course if $36 is the discount, then how much a calculator will cost? So the cost of the calculator will be to subtract the $36 from 120. So 36 from 120 will be, right, so $84 now will be the cost of the calculator. But if Suzanne paid with a $100 bill, then how much change will she receive? So change received will be to subtract $84 from your $100. And we know 84 from 100, that will give us $16. Whose answer is 8. So let's move on to question 17. So 17, by selling a bag for $1,140, we shall incur a loss of 5%. At what price should he have sold the bag to gain a profit of 5%? So he sold the bag for $1,140 and incurred a loss. So then what would have been the cost price? Yeah? So it means if he incurred a loss, right? So your cost price is equal to 100%. So that's a cost price, 100%. So if he incurred a loss after selling the bag for $1,140, then his selling price will be equal to, incurred a loss of 5%. That will be moving from 100% to 95%. Because he incurred a loss. So what then will be the cost price? What is the cost price? What is selling price? 95% will be equal to $1,140. So let's work out what is the cost price. If 95% is 1,140, 1% will be 1,140 divided by 95, and therefore 100%, which represents the cost price, will be 1,140 over 95 times 100. When we work that out, what are we going to get? 1140 divided by 95, which is 12 times 100, will be $1,200 will be cost price. So at what price should he have sold a bag to gain a profit of 5%? So to gain a profit of 5%, what are we going to do? So it means then that 100%, which is your cost price, is equal to $1,200. But if you gain a profit of 5%, it means that you would have sold it for more, and therefore the selling price now will move from 100% to 105%. And what 105% is equal to? So therefore, if 100% is equal to $1,200, we can find for 1%, which is 1,200 over 100, and therefore 105% will be 1,200 over 100 times 105. When we work that out, what are we going to get? 2 zeros cancel, that's 105 times 12 to give us $1,260 will be the selling price. So the selling price here will be D. If to gain a profit of 5%. Alright, so 17D. Let's look at question 18. So 18, the cost of a machine is estimated to be decreasing at a rate of 10% every year. If it currently costs $6,000, what will be the estimated value of the machine after 2 years? So this here more or less, you have the cost of a machine, and it is estimated to be decreasing at a rate. So it means it's going to be depreciating. If you purchase a machine after wear and tear, it's going to depreciate, right? So they want us to determine what will be the estimated value after 2 years. So it means we want to determine what is the, how much is going to be depreciated by. So your depreciation, right, so what will it cost after 2 years? Depreciation more or less is your, and it's good to know this formula, it's your principal times 1 subtract rate over 100 raised to the power of n. So it's good to know that formula. Of course, we can use another approach, a long approach, but we can use the formula also. The principal here, it's 6,000. 1 minus the rate, it's 10%, so that's going to be 10 all over 100, and n will be the number of years, so that will be 2 years raised to the power of 2. So this will be 6,000 times 1 subtract 10 divided by 100 is 0.1. So that's 1 subtract 0.1 in brackets raised to the power of 2. That is 6,000 times 0.1 from 1 will give us 0.9 squared. Let's talk about the 0.9 squared. 0.9 by 0.9, which is 0.81. So that's 6,000 by 0.81. And let's multiply 0.81 by 6,000. This will give us 4,860. So that's how much it's going to depreciate to. Right? So $4,860, which is C. So question 18, looking at C. Let's look at question 19. So it says here, for 19, question 19, a man pays 60 cents for every 200 meter cube of gas used, plus a fixed charge. If he pays $178.75 when he uses 55,000 meter cube of gas, how much is the fixed charge? So a man pays 60 cents for every 200 meter cube. So let's see how many 200 meter cube we can get from that 55,000 meter cube, right? So, number of meter cube of gas used, right? How much you can get from that 55,000 will be 55,000 divided by 200, and that will give us 550 divided by 2, which will give us 275, right? That's the number of meter cubes we can obtain. But a man pays 60 cents. That's how many 200 meter cubes we can obtain, right? So if a man pays 60 cents for every 200 meter cubes, and you can get 275 200 meter cubes from the 55,000 meter cube, then you would have paid what, right? So the cost for every 200 meter cube will be to multiply 275 by 60 cents, and 275 by 60 will give us $165. And if he pays $178.75 when he uses the 55,000 meter cube, what will be the fixed charge? So the fixed charge will be to subtract your $165 from your $178.75. Which will give us $13.75, whose answer here is E. So question 19. Let's look at question 20. So question 20, the compound interest on 12 $12,000 for 2 years, it's 10% per annum. Compounded annually is. So what is the compound interest on $12,000? So compound interest, of course, is interest attracting interest. So the interest for, it's a 2-year period, so the interest for the first year will be principal by the rate, which is 10%, by the time, which is 1 year, all over 100. So looking at the interest for your first year. So this will be my 2 zeros cancelled. So that's 120 by 10, which will give us $1,200. But with compound interest, what we do, we have to reinvest. So we're going to reinvest this interest. So reinvesting will give us our new principal. Let me write first this formula. So when I reinvest, my new principal, which I'll call P2, will be 12,000 plus 1,200, and that will give us $13,200. Yeah, 13,200, and therefore the interest obtained for the 13,200, which I'll call I2, will be 13,200 by the rate, which will be 10%, by the time, which will be 1 year. Now this is, of course, we're looking at each year individually, right? So this is 1 year all over 100. So this will be my 2 zeros cancelled, 2 zeros cancelled. 132 by 10 will give me 1,320 will be the interest obtained for the second year. So your compound interest will be to add 1,200 to your 1,320, and we're going to get 2,520. Whose answer there will be B, will be compound interest. So let's move on to question 21. So question 21. We have here the product of a number P and its reciprocal may be written as. So product means to multiply number P. The reciprocal of P is 1 over P. So that's P times 1 over P, whose answer there is D. So question 21, D. Let's look at question 22. Question 22. The area of a rectangle in cm squared is x squared. The equation that may be used to find the value of x is. So if the area of the rectangle is x squared, and the area of a rectangle is length times width, the length we see it's x subtract 4, the width it's 2, so we can write this as x squared is equal to 2 in brackets x subtract 4. Whose answer there is 22A. So 22 we have A as our result. Let's move on to 23. So 23, Althea, Bob and Chris collect shells. Althea has P shells, Bob has twice as many shells as Althea, and Chris has 4 more than the total number of shells that both Althea and Bob collected. Altogether, the total number of shells they have is, so Althea, I'll use Althea as A, has P shells. Bob, I'll use Bob as B, has twice as many shells as Althea. So Bob will have 2P. And Chris has 4 more than the total number of shells that both Althea and Bob collected. So Chris, total amount of 4 more than the total amount that Althea and Bob collected. So the total amount will be P, 1P plus 2P, which is 3P. And 4 more than that. So we're going to add 4 to it. So this is Chris, 3P plus 4. So altogether, the total number of shells they have, so total number of shells will be to add P plus 2P plus 3P plus 4. This is P plus 2P, 3P plus 3P, that's 6P plus 4. And we're not saying 6P plus 4, but we have factorized. When I put out 2, we're going to get 3P plus 2. So we can represent the answer as D. So question 23, D. Let's look at question 24. 24. If 3 plus 2 over x is equal to 1, then what is the value of x? 3 plus 2 over x is equal to 1. What we can do, you have an equation involving fractions. We can simplify what we have on the left. So I'll put 3 over 1. I find the LCM, which is x, or 1 and x, which is x. 1 divided into x is x. X times 3 will be 3x plus x divided into x is 1. 2 by 1 will give us 2. Of course, this will be equal to 1. So I'm going to have 3x plus 2 over x. This is the left side of the equal sign simplified. That is equal to 1. And to remove any equation from its fraction, once you have one fraction on the left, one fraction on the right, you can easily cross multiply. So 1 times 3x plus 2 is 3x plus 2. X by 1 will give us x. And therefore I can bring all x's on one side and subtract x from 3x. And I'm going to put all numbers on the right. That's negative 2. And therefore 3x subtract x is 2x is equal to negative 2. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. X is equal to negative 1. So the value here, A, will be negative 1. So let's look at question 25. Alright, so remember this is Csec Math 2025 paper 1. So this is what we're doing here, right? The multiple choice. We're looking at question 25. So 25. So we have here the value of 5 to the power of n plus 1 times 5 to the power of n plus 2, where n is negative 1. N is equal to negative 1 is, this will be 5 to the power of negative 1 plus 1 times 5 to the power of negative 1 plus 2. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. 5 to the power of 0 times 5. 5 to the power of 0 is 1. And 1 times 5 is B. 5. Whose answer there is B. So let's move on to question 26. So 26. If 40 students will take 20 days to paint a wall, how many days will it take to paint the wall if 10 more students are added working at the same rate? So 40 students take 20 days, so 40 students equal 20 days. So we know one student will take more days to paint, right? So one student will be to multiply 40 by 20, which is 800 days. That's one student. And therefore, if we add 10 more students, it means it's going to be 50 students. Will be, so how many days will 50 students? It's going to be 800 divided by 50. And 800 divided by 50 will give us, that will give us 16 days. So question 26 will be C16. Let's look at question 27. So 27. If P is equal to 2, 5, negative 1, 3. Then the value of, and when you have two parallel lines on either side of P, it's the determinant of P, which is AB minus BC. That's the formula for your determinant. This is A, this is B, C, and D. I'm replacing A with 2, D with 3 in brackets, subtract B with 5, C with negative 1 in brackets. I'm going to get 6 subtract 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, and this will give me 6 plus 5, which is 11. So this will be D. Let's look at question 28. 28. If A is that matrix, then the order of A is, so the order is the number of rows by the number of columns. How many rows we have here? Rows run horizontally. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 rows. Times how many columns we have? Columns run vertically. 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So the order will be 3 times 4, which is, so rows run horizontally, columns run vertically. So 28C. Let's look at 29. So 29, EG expressed in terms of K and M is. So this is a vector question. So we have here item 29 refers to the following diagram about parallelogram in which EF is parallel to HG. So they are parallel, moving in the same direction, and EH is parallel to MG. Now it states here that EF has a magnitude K and EH has a magnitude M. Express EG in terms of K and M. So this is EG here. So to find EG, we can simply use the triangle law. If it is a parallelogram, if these two vectors are parallel and equal in a parallelogram, so the magnitude of this vector is also K, the magnitude of that vector is also M. So we can utilize the triangle law to find EG, which will be EG. Because it's EG, we start with E, and I'm using this triangle here, EHG, so I'm using the vertices of the triangle to create my equation. So I'm going to start with E, I'm going to end with G, and I'm going to use the vertex H. It must have the same vertex in between, separated by an addition sign. So you start with E, you end with G, and of course the vertex H will be placed in the middle, separated by an addition sign. And therefore, EH, it is M plus HG is K, so the magnitude of EG is M plus K, which you can also write as K plus M. So 29, the answer there is D. Let's look at 30. So 13, 5, and we have x, y is equal to 4, we have 10, 20. So we need to find the values of x and y. So this here is a matrix equation. 5 by x will be 5x, 5 by y is 5y, and of course 4 by 10 is 14, 4 by 20 is 18. And what I can do is to equate, and I'm going to equate 5x, which is equal to 40, that's one equation. I'm also going to equate 5y is equal to 80, another equation, and I can easily find x. 5x divided by 5, 40 divided by 5, x will be 8, and I can find y, 5y is equal to 80, 5y divided by 5, 80 divided by 5. So y is equal to 16. So I have 13b. So let's move on to 31. 31. So 31 we have here. 31 refers to the following diagram, which shows a cylinder whose diameter is 6 centimeters and height 21 centimeters. Given that pi is 22/7, the volume of the cylinder, it is area of the cross section, which is your circle. The area of a circle is pi r squared times the perpendicular height h. That's a formula for the volume. You know pi is 22/7. The radius, the diameter of that circle is 6, so the radius will be half of that, which is 3. So it's 22/7 times 3 times 3 times 21, which is your height. So I can say 7 into 7 is 1, 7 into 21 is 3, and 3 by 3 is 9, 9 by 3 is 27. So 22 by 27 will give me 594, 31, it is C. Let's look at question 32. So 32, in a rectangular plot, 15 meters long and 12 meters wide, the area of 80 meters squared is used for a vegetable garden. What area of the plot is not used for the vegetable garden? So we have 32. So I have a rectangular plot of land. It's 15 meters long. It is 12 meters wide. And we know that part of this rectangle, the area is 80 meters squared. So what will be the area of the plot that is not used for vegetable gardening? So this is for vegetable gardening. Vegetable gardening. So we're going to find area of rectangle, which will be length by width, 15 times 12, and 15 times 12 will give us 180 meters squared. And therefore, to find the area that is not used, so area not used for vegetable gardening will be to subtract 80 from 180, which will give us 100 meters squared. Whose answer there is B, so 32B. Let's look at 33. So 33, how long will a speedboat take to travel between two harbors which are 1,080 kilometers apart if it travels at an average speed? So how long means time? So time is equal to distance over speed. Yeah? So D representing your distance will be 1080 kilometers and the speed is 120 kilometers per hour. So when we divide the two, we're going to get 1080 divided by 120, and that will give us 9 hours. So question 33, that's B. Let's look at question 34. The lengths of the sides of our triangle are x, 2x, and 2x centimeters. If the perimeter is 20 centimeters, what is the value of x? So you have a triangle, two sides, the length is x, 2x, 2x. Alright? So you know it's an isosceles, and of course the other put that as x, right? So they want us to determine the value of x if the perimeter is 20. So you're going to create a simple equation here. 2x plus 2x plus x, that's the perimeter of the triangle. In terms of x is equal to 20, you're going to get 5x is equal to 20. And I divide both sides by 5. So x will be equal to 4, 34e. Let's look at 35. So 35, right. So 35 refers to the following diagram, which is a trapezium. The perimeter of the trapezium in millimeters. So we have here, we can find the perimeter of the trapezium. Let's find the perimeter in meters. That will be what? 0.41 plus 0.12 plus 0.18 plus 0.21, which will give us 0.92 meters. But we want to represent the perimeter in millimeters. So we know that if I have to convert millimeters to meters, we know 10 millimeters is equal to 1 centimeter. 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. So if I have to convert millimeters to meters, I must know what is the conversion factor. So this is what? This will be 1,000 millimeters multiplying 10 by 100 will give us 1 meter. So we know if 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters, and I've switched it around because what I have to convert to goes on the right of the relationship, then 0.92 meters will be to multiply 1,000 by 0.92. So when I multiply 1,000 by 0.92, I should get 920 millimeters. Whose answer for 35 is D. Let's look at 36. So 36 refers to the following diagram, which shows a circle center O, the major sector and minor sector. So I have a major sector and minor sector indicated. If the area of the major sector is 115.5 centimeters squared, then the diameter of the circle is what? Okay? So in order for us to find the diameter, it means we must find the radius first of the circle. And it gave me the area of the major sector. So the area of a major sector, in terms of your formula, will be pi r squared by theta over 360. Remember, the sector is a fraction of the area of the circle. And let's take pi as 22 over 7 by the radius, which we need to find. And remember, we deal with the major sector here. Remember, the area of the major sector, it is 115.5, and the angle, right? The sector angle for your major sector will be formed by subtracting 90 from 360, which is 270 over 360. 0 goes 0 go. 9 into 27 is 3. 9 into 36 is 4. So we're going to get 115.5 is equal to 22 over 7 times r squared times 3/4. So I can say 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 22 is 11. So this is 115.5 is equal to 11 by r squared by 3 is 33 r squared over 14. I can put 115.5 over 1 and I have single fractions on either side, so I can cross multiply to get 1 by 33 r squared is 33 r squared, and 115.5 by 14 will give me 1617, and therefore to get r by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 33. So 1617 by 33 will give me 49. And therefore to get the radius, I'm going to find the square root of 49, which is 7 centimeters. So that's the radius. But they ask you for what? The diameter. So the diameter will be 7 times 2, which is 14 centimeters. So it's going to be C. 36C. Let's look at 37. So 37, they want the, so we have a compound solid and they want the surface area of the compound solid. So the surface area. Of course, we're looking at all shapes located on the surface. So this shape here is a trapezium. So we can find the area of the trapezium. So 37. So area of the trapezium will be a half times the sum of the two parallel sides. This will be 10 centimeters. So 10 plus 8 is 18. So this is one parallel side. This is the other. This will be 10 centimeters. So it's going to be 18 plus 10 because of the area of trapezium. The area of a trapezium is a half times the sum of the two parallel sides by the perpendicular height. So it's a half times 18 plus 10 by the perpendicular height, which is 12. So when I work that out, that will give me the area of a trapezium. But remember, we have two trapezia, right? We have one on the opposite side. So this will be a half times 20 times 12. 14 times 12, let's see, 14 times 12 will give us 168 times 2, which will give us 336 centimeters squared will be the area with two trapezia. But then we have to also consider, we want the total surface area, we want the shapes on the surface. So let's consider the rectangle that's flat on the ground. And for the rectangle flat on the ground, this will be the length. So looking at rectangle on the ground, this will be the area of two trapezia. Rectangle on the ground will be a length by width. The length here will be 18, the width will be 10, so that's 18 by 10, 180 centimeters squared. So let's look at the rectangle. Well, okay, so I shouldn't say flat on the ground, but the rectangle that's standing upright. So the rectangle upright. Good? Let's look at the shape on the ground now, which is your rectangle on ground. That will be 12 by 10, which is equal to 120. Good? Let's look at the rectangle on top. Which will be 10 by, well, that would be a rectangle, that would be a square on top. Yeah? So square on top will be side by side. That's 10 by 10. Which is 100 centimeters squared. And now let's look at the rectangle that's slanted. Rectangle that's slanted. So the area of that rectangle, this will be 10 by 13. Which is 130 centimeters squared. So therefore, what is the total surface area? The total surface area will be to add 336 to 180 to 120 to 100 to 130. And that will give us what? 336 plus 180 plus 120 plus 100 plus 130 will give us 866 centimeters squared. His answer there is B, so 37B. Okay, let's move on to 38. So 38, the distance around a lake is 8 kilometers. On a map, the distance around the lake is represented by a length of 4 centimeters. So 4 centimeters will be your map and 8 kilometers will be your lake. Right? The scale on the map is, so this is on the map and the lake of course is what's in real life, what's in the actual life. So what we have to do first is let's find what 1 centimeter is equal to by dividing both by 4. So I'm going to get 1 centimeter is equal to 2 kilometers. And how many centimeters will 2 kilometers equal to? Well, we know that 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter and 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. So we know that 100 by 1,000, that's 100,000 centimeters is equal to 1 kilometer. So therefore, 2 kilometers, so 2 kilometers we need to multiply 100,000 by 2, which is 200,000 centimeters is equal to 2 kilometers. So therefore, I can write this as 1 centimeter is equal to 200,000 centimeters. So when you do it map and scale reading, 1 centimeter on the map is really equal to 200 centimeters in actual. And therefore we can write our scale on the map as 1 to 200,000. Alright, so 1 centimeter is equal to 200,000 centimeters, can be stated as 1 to 200,000, which is D. Let's look at 39. So 39 and 40 refers to the table which shows a number of words that a group of 60 students got correct in a spelling test that consisted of 10 words. The mode of the number of words spelled correctly is, so what is the mode? The mode is the observation corresponding to the highest frequency, or number of students will represent frequency. The highest frequency is 18, so the mode there it is 7. His answer is A. So 39A. Let's look at 40. So 40, again, same question. They want the median number of words spelled by the student correctly, the median. So what I'm going to do is to rewrite or change my table from a horizontal format to a vertical format. So I have number of words spelled correctly. I will have number of students, which is the same as the frequency. So I'm going to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to have 3, 18, 7, 16, 16. So to find the median, what we need is what we call the cumulative frequency. So cumulative frequency. And that is found by starting with the first number in the frequency column. So 3 plus 18 will give me 21. 21 plus 7 will give me 28. 28 plus 16 will give me 44. And 44 plus 16 will give me 60. So to determine the position of the median and hence median, I'm going to use this formula. So position of median, I'm going to use a half times n plus 1 to locate the position of the median. A half times n in this case will be total frequency in the cumulative frequency column. If I add up all these numbers, I get 60. So this is the total frequency. That's 60 plus 1. A half times 61 will give me 30.5. So that's the position of the median. Now where is 30.5? So 30.5, 30 and a half position occurs between the 28th, the 20th position. This is the 44th position, 30.5 position. And what we always do, we round to the higher, which is the 44th position, which will give us a median that corresponds to what? 9. So median is equal to 9, whose answer there is B. So question 40B. Let's look at question 41. So 41. If 180 students play football, how many students are in the group? So you have here this pie chart, and 180 students play football. The angle for football is 90 degrees. You can say 90 degrees is equal to 180 students. So 1 degree will be 180 over 90. And then they ask how many students are in the group, which represents 360 degrees total. The angle for a circle, 360 degrees, represents the total number. So this will be 180 divided by 90 times 360. So that's 9 into 18 is 2. 2 by 360 will give us 720 students. Whose answer there is C. So let's look at question 42. 42. How many customers bought at least 6 kilograms of fish? So at least means 6 or more. So 6 corresponds to, that's 11, plus 7 corresponds to, that's 5, plus 8 corresponds to 4, plus 9 corresponds to 7, plus 10 corresponds to 3. So how many customers bought at least 6 kilograms of fish? That's 16 plus 4, 20, plus 20, plus 7, 27, plus 3, that's 30. Whose answer there is C? That's 42. Let's look at 43. The semi-interquartile range, so we want semi-interquartile range. So semi-interquartile range is your upper quartile minus your lower quartile divided by 2. That's the formula. The upper quartile Q3 is 3/4 times n. N in this case will be total frequency, which is 20. So that's 3/4 of 20, which is 15. So this is the 15th position here, and what height that corresponds to. So I draw my line from 15 across the midi curve, and I'm going to travel now down to the height axis. And that corresponds to what? The this is, we have 5 blocks to represent 1. So if you have 5, 1 block will be 1 divided by 5, which is 0.2. So this is 2, this is 0.2, 0.4. This looks like about, yeah, that's about 2.6. Yeah? So Q3, we write your position of Q3, and therefore Q3 is 2.6. And position of Q1, so the lower quartile is 3/4 times, times n, which is a quarter times 20, which is 5. This is 5 here. 5 corresponds to what? Usually 15, right? 5 corresponds to, this looks like about 1.2. It's about 2.6, yeah? So Q1 is 1.2. So therefore, the 2.2, 2.4, 2.2, yeah. So therefore, the semi-interquartile range will be 2.6 minus 1.2 divided by 2. That's 1.4 divided by 2. You see here? Yeah, but 1.4 divided by 2. Which will give us 0.7. So the closest thing to is 0.7 there. So based on what we have, this looks like about 1.2. Yeah? So the closest will be, we'll approximate that to 0.65. So 43 will be A. Let's look at 44. $600 students sit in an examination. So 44, 600 students sit in an examination. The probability of randomly selecting students failing the examination is 1/5. How many students are expected to pass the examination? So this is a probability question. So probability is equal to the number of ways an event can occur over the total number of possible ways. So we don't know the number of ways in which students fail the exam. We know the total number of students, which is 600. We know the probability to 1/5. So this is 1/5 is equal to x over 600. So let's determine how many students fail. So we cross multiply, I'm going to get 5x is equal to 600. And I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So 5 into 600 will give me what? This will give me 120. And therefore, this will be the number of students who fail, right? So the number of students who pass will be to subtract 120 from 600. And 600 minus 120 will give us 480. Whose answer is C. Let's look at 45. Which of the following line graphs represents negative 2 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 4? So this will be, when we separate, negative 2 is less than x and x is less than or equal to 4. Remember, x must always be on the left, so I'm going to switch x, negative 2, this will be greater than or not less than, because the sign must change. And x is less than or equal to 4. So I draw my line. I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So if x is greater than negative 2, I locate negative 2, draw a line up from negative 2. And of course I put a circle which will be unshaded because once it's greater than or less than, the circle is unshaded. And x is less than or equal to 4. I locate 4, draw a line and put a circle. Once it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, I shade. So if x is greater than negative 2, I point my arrow this way. And if x is less than or equal to 4, I point my arrow this way. So we're looking at D as our answer for that inequality. So let's look at 46. Which of the following represents the equation of a straight line? So the equation of a straight line, it's always of the form y is equal to mx plus c, which will be y is equal to 2x plus 3, whose answer there is B. Let's look at 47. So 47. What is the gradient of a straight line? So we have 2y is equal to negative 3x minus 8. So first to find the gradient, it's always on the form y equal to mx plus c. That's the equation of a straight line. And the gradient is n, the number in front of x. But we must ensure y is a subject. Presently, y is not the subject. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to get y is equal to, and I'm going to separate what I have here, 3 over 2x minus 8 over 2. So y is equal to negative 3 over 2x, subtract 4, and the gradient now is that number in front of x, which is negative 3 over 2. So my answer for 47 is D. Let's look at 48 and 49. So 48, the maximum point of that quadratic function y is equal to 4x minus x squared. This is your maximum point here. So the maximum point, the coordinates will be 2, 4. So that's your maximum point. Whose answer there is D. And let's look at 49. According to the graph, the solution of the equation y equal to 4x minus x squared and y equal to 0 so y equal to 4 minus x squared is your curve, and y equal to 0 will be your x-axis. So the curve on the x-axis, the solution of the equation is where the curve and the x-axis meet. So they meet at those 2 points. So one point will be when x is 0, y is 0, and the other point is when x is 4, y is 0. So this is 0, this is 2, this is 4, right? So therefore, when x is 4, y will be 0. And of course, our answer here will be 49, 2. So So let's look at 50. H of x is equal to 4x squared minus 6. What is h of negative a half? This would be 4, but replace x with negative a half in brackets squared, subtract 6. This is 4. Negative a half squared is negative a half by negative a half, which is positive a quarter, subtract 6. 4 by a quarter will give you 1, subtract 6, which is negative 5. So question 50 is B. So let's look at 51. A line L is perpendicular to the lines. We have the equation of the line 2x minus y minus 8 is equal to 0. What is the gradient of the line L? So L is perpendicular to that line. And when two lines are perpendicular and they meet at what? Right angles to each other. So L is perpendicular to this line. So assume that this is the line 2x minus y minus 8 equal to 0. So what is the gradient of L? So it means I must make y the subject. I must express it in this form. So I'm going to make y the subject. This is what? Negative y, positive 2x comes across as negative 2x. Negative 8 comes across as positive 8. And then to make y the subject, I have to remove this negative sign. So I'm going to multiply by negative 1. Negative 1 by negative y is y. Negative 1 by negative 2x is positive 2x. Negative 1 by positive 8 is negative 8. So the gradient of this line here, m will be equal to 2. And therefore the gradient of L will be the negative reciprocal of the gradient given as 2. So the gradient of L is the negative reciprocal of the gradient of this line. So it's going to be m is equal to negative 1 over 2. So the gradient of L is negative a half, which is B. So 51B. Alright, let's look at 52. Which of the following sets is represented by the function? We have f is such that this is 52, x is mapped onto x squared plus 3, where x belongs to 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? So, for us to determine which of the following sets represent the function, I can use a mapping diagram to show 0, 1, 2, 3. This here is f is such that x is mapped onto x squared plus 3. And when x is 0, let me replace x with 0. I'm going to get 0 squared plus 3, which will give me 3. When x is 1, I'm going to get 1 squared plus 3, which is 4. When x is 2, 2 squared plus 3, which is 7. And then x is 3, 3 squared plus 3, which is 12. So we can simply write 0 is mapped to 3, 1 to 4, 2 to 7, and 3 to 12. Whose answer will be D. Alright, let's look at 53. So we want to determine what is the value of y. So we are simply going to use the fact here that this arc subtends this angle at the center, which is 122, and the same arc subtends this angle at the circumference, at R, or even at S. So we can comfortably say here the angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference subtended by the same arc. So I can comfortably state here, or even angle y is equal to 122 divided by 2, which will give me 61 degrees. His answer is C. Okay? Because I'm using the fact the angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference, subtended by the same angle. And let's move on to 54. In the diagram, P, Q, and RS are parallel. Which of the following best describes the relation? So what we have here, we have alternate angles, your Z-shape or parallel lines. So you have alternate angles. This angle is equal to that angle. So what you can comfortably say here is x is equal to y, which is E. So let's look at 55. Right, so we have three triangles, ABC, A prime, B prime, C prime. This is A, that's B, that's C. This is A prime, B prime, C prime. And we have here A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So they ask us, which of the following diagram, of course, items 55 put to the following diagram, would show a triangle ABC and its images A prime, B prime, C prime, and A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, after triangle ABC undergoes a composite double transformation. So a double transformation takes place here. So what is a double transformation? So the sequence of transformations that will map ABC onto A double prime, B double prime, C double prime would simply be, this is a double transformation. You have here, this is 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have here, this here is a line x equal to 1. So we have reflection taking place about that line x equal to 1. So reflection in the line x equal to 1. And what we'll have here to move from A prime, B prime, C prime to A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, that is a translation. T equal to, let me move from B, starting with A, I'm moving -1, -2, -3. Then I'm moving 4 downwards and negative because we move it to the left. And I'm moving downwards, so this is -1, -2, -3, -4. And if you do it for B prime, the same is going to be -1, -2, -3 to B double prime. This is -1, -2, -3, -4. And if you do it for C prime, the C double prime, -1, -2, -3, and -1, -2, -3, -4. It's a translation, -3, -4, whose answer there is E. But let's look at E56. In each of the following diagrams, A prime is the image of A. A prime is the image of A. Which diagram shows a reflection in the x-axis? So clearly, this is A and this is A prime, and this clearly shows reflection in the x-axis. So that's your mirror line and your reflection in the x-axis. Whose answer there is D. It's 56D. Let's look at 57. A triangle ABC angle AX degrees. This is angle A, B, 2x degrees. What is angle C? So to find angle C, what are we going to do? The sum of three angles of a triangle will give 180 degrees. So I can simply say x degrees plus 2x degrees plus question mark. That's what I want to find. That is equal to 180 degrees. X plus 2x will be 3x plus what I want to find is equal to 180. So what I want to find will be 180 subtract 3x, whose answer there will be E. 57E. So let's look at 58. The angle of elevation of the point Z from X is 35 degrees. If X is 15 meters from Z, see 50 meters there, then the height YZ in meters is. So using, this is 58, so we have this diagram here. This is 35 degrees. This is 15 meters. This is Y. This is X. This is Z. So therefore, this is opposite. This is hypotenuse. This is adjacent. So if you want to find YZ, this is, you have to find opposite and you're given information by hypotenuse. So the trig ratio that links those two sides will be sine theta, which is equal to sine opposite all over hypotenuse. So sine 35 degrees is equal to my side opposite, which is YZ, over the hypotenuse, which is 15, and I can cross multiply to get YZ is equal to 15 sine 35 degrees, whose answer there is C. Okay, let's look at 59. Right, so the length of MO in centimeters, we have a pair of similar triangles. You want the length of MO. So for similar triangles, we have what you call a scale factor K, which is the image length over object length, but it must be corresponding sides. So, and these two triangles are similar because 3 angles of one is equal to 3 angles of the other, makes them similar. And 59 degrees correspond to 6, 59 degrees corresponds to 3. So those two sides are corresponding sides because they correspond to the same angle. So what we can do, we can simply write K as, we're going to put it as image length over object length. And the image length for the two corresponding sides will be 6 all over 3, which will give me a scale factor of 2, which means that this length AB is twice this length NN. So if I multiply 3 by 2, I get 6. So if it will correspond with all sides, it means that if AC corresponds to MO because it corresponds to the same angle of 90 degrees, it means that MO will be half of 7, which is 3.5 centimeters. Right? So this is twice MO, it means MO has to be 3.5, whose answer is B. And the last 60 under the translation -2, 3, the image of -5, 3. So what is translation? The translation is object point plus your translation is equal to image point. Your object point is -5, 3, which I'm going to write in terms of a column form. So I'm going to write it like this. That's a column form. Plus your translation, -2, 3, and that will give you what is the image of -5, 3, which is formed by, this is the image, this is -5 plus -2, 3 plus 3 to give me my image, and this is a plus by a minus is a minus, -5 subtract 2, 3 plus 3, which will give me -7, 6. And I can write it back in the row form. So the image will be C. Alright, so this will bring us to the end of the 2025 January paper 1. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Remember, in preparation for the Csec exam in May of 2025, I'll be doing more and more exercises as we get closer to the examination. So please tell everyone and like, share and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode. Take care everyone.